Welcome to Stories of Courage, a podcast series by Max Healthcare. Along with expert medical care, a patient's courage and resilient spirit play a critical role in overcoming a difficult disease. आइए इस पॉडकास्ट में सुने कुछ ऐसी ही करेज की स्टोरीज.
Hello. We are doing this Stories of Courage, in which we get to know the person behind the patient. Today, I, Dr. Bhuvan Chugh, Senior Consultant in Medical Oncology at Max Gurugram and Saket, I'm going to be speaking to Mrs. Harsimrat Kaur, who has been one of our patients. Mrs. Kaur, I would like you to introduce yourself so that we can go and spend a good 45 minutes talking to each other about it.
Sure. Thank you, Doctor, and thank you, Max, for this opportunity. So, I'm Harsimrat. I have always been an army kid, so born and brought up in the army background. And after my marriage, I started working. I've been working for about 26 years now. And I have a wonderful family, very, very supportive husband and two beautiful children.
So it's pretty interesting you bring in the army. I have done my post-graduation from Army Hospital. And while being there, the army life did excite me, but I think it has its own drawbacks when you come to as a doctor because of the the postings and you keep going around. But then, how did you like it? So which corps was your father in?
My father was in the Corps of Engineers. So yes, always been a beautiful journey going from place to place, living in different cities, new neighborhoods, new schools all the time.
Can you tell me the few postings which he had?
Yeah, sure. So we've been to Ranchi, Mathura, Kalimpong, Roorkee, Jammu, Pune. So pretty much, visited and lived in many, many places.
And KVs ki army schools?
Yeah. So army schools mostly. It's either the army school or military school. And yes, sometimes the KVs as well. Yeah.
Does this come to, spill over to the life also? So what I'm trying to essentially ask you is ki you have learned to move on in life fairly quickly.
Yes.
So do you think when there is a situation which you're difficult, when there is a difficulty, does that spill over in your life? Does it become a part of your character that you are able to move on with things easier than possibly?
Absolutely.
Let's say from your
In my
spouse.
case, yeah, absolutely. In my case, it was. So, the day when this news was broken to me, I think in 24 hours, within one day, Dr. Chugh, I was geared up to just start my treatment and just go in with full force. I was literally like starting a war, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready. Let's just fight the bloody thing and kick it out. So that's it. Just becomes a part of the character, like you said.
So where was your father's last posting?
His last posting was in Delhi only.
Acha.
And then he just decided to take premature retirement. So that's, you don't retire at the age of 58, you take premature because we had to settle down our schools. I was in 12th, my sister was in the 10th. So both had boards. So we just decided, he had got the posting, by the way, in Trivandrum. But we all decided after living in Delhi that no, we are not going there now. So we decided to stay back in Delhi and just live our life here.
You did your 12th in, from which school were you in?
Army Public School.
Dholakwa. So you did your 12th after that?
After that, I did my graduation in French in JNU. So I have a degree in French honors. And then right after I finished my graduation, I got married. So I got married very early in life.
And your first job was?
I'm in the travel side.
But was that your first job also?
Yes, after marriage.
So was that because you took French or because possibly your education was in French? Was that what?
No. So after my marriage, I did some couple of courses in travel tourism, and that's how I joined the travel line, and I started working as one of the executives in one of the European companies related to travel.
And so I think we were talking, and you told me you had two kids, and so after that, obviously, once the family life starts, it's always. Is it about the family after that always, or you think there is more to? So how much is it about the family for a female when you are? And I want to know this as a human also. So once you have a job and then you have had two kids, and how do you maintain your career there? As in, what extra does it require to maintain a career?
I think one of the most important things in order for a woman to have a career and have children is to have a very strong support system. So whether it was my in-laws or my own parents, my husband, everybody was very, very supportive. Of course, we've had our share of troubles and challenges as well. But I think you just kind of, you learn to get there, you just learn to move on and just solve for everything that comes your way.
And so before you had the disease, so you were married for how long before that?
25 years.
So you've been married for 25 years.
Yeah.
That's great.
27 this year.
And then it's been 2 years.
Yeah.
Now coming to the difficult part about talking about the disease.
Mm-hmm.
When did it hit you? As in, so what was the first thing which happened? So where I'm coming from is, so generally, most of the people when they have a symptom, you want to close your eyes to the symptom. You wish the bird flies away. You wish the pigeon flies away and you don't have to see it. So for you, what was that first symptom which kind of...
So I remember this was back in 2021 when I started my treatment with you, doctor. So this was sometime in June, July, when I started noticing that I was passing blood while passing stool. But it took at least a month for me to establish that pattern because I was not sure about it. And one doesn't really consciously turn back and look, right? So to do that itself took me at least a months, about 5 to 6 weeks time. And I very clearly remember it was, during the lockdown year, 2021, it was the day of Rakhi, when I actually told my husband for the very first time in the morning, as we were preparing to have a big Rakhi lunch with all the brothers and cousins coming along. I remember telling him in the morning saying that I'm having this problem and it's been 5-6 weeks now. But मैं आज आपको बता रही हूँ क्योंकि अब बहुत ज़्यादा आ रहा है blood. And I think you should know now because it seems to be serious. And that was I think 29th or 30th of August. And then 1st September we went for a colonoscopy.
I'll interrupt you there before that. So when the first time you brought it up to your husband,
that took a courage, a lot of
that took courage. And so what I'm trying to tell you is, so when you were telling it to your husband, you're actually saying it aloud.
Yes.
So till
I was
that,
acknowledging it basically.
Exactly, you were acknowledging it. So before that, you were kind of wishing it away, and then you thought it might not be anything.
Correct.
And then
it might be something.
Which will probably go away.
Yeah.
So you told this to your husband, and then you went for colonoscopy. Is what you did next day.
The next day, yes. So we went for the colonoscopy the very next day, 1st of September, and 2nd September we got the biopsy, and it was confirmed that it was a malignant tumor. I didn't believe it. I thought, no, something is wrong. Let me, let's refer to obviously somebody, right? And of course, the doctor had said that now you need to go and meet a onco doctor. So we went for, a first opinion at a nearby hospital in Gurugram.
So, but then your first reaction was denial.
It was denial, absolutely denial. So I was reading it in the report. It said malignant tumor 3 × 4 centimeter. I'm saying, no, it's not me. It's not possible. Because that's just how we are built, right? That's just how we are built. To not accept anything as serious, as big as that. So it was saying malignant tumor 3 × 4 centimeter. I was like, no, not possible. Because externally I didn't have any symptoms. I was not feeling anything in my head. I was just as normal as day before yesterday as I am today, right? So it was just complete denial that this is fake, ye jhoot hai. It's not possible.
Fair.
And not with a lot of drama, but just like, nee, this is not possible. Let's go talk to a doctor. I don't buy it. That was the kind of attitude I had.
Which is a part of the emotional reaction.
Yeah.
So your first emotional reaction was denial to it.
Yes.
And then we moved on and we came to an onco. Then what happened after that?
So the doctor, explained the whole treatment, that he said that yes, it is indeed a malignant tumor, and they had done the TNM study, and he explained that it was stage 3 cancer, and the whole treatment was explained around how chemo will happen, radiation, and how the tumor will be removed. Somehow I didn't feel the connection. Because you have to have a connection with somebody with whom you're entrusting your life and your body, right? And I didn't feel that connection with him. So then, we knew somebody who has had treatment here, not just here, but of course at Max Saket also, and he knew Dr. Agarwal as well. So that, that family, he booked the appointment for us. We didn't book the appointment ourselves. So I came here in the morning and to meet Dr. Nikhil Agarwal, and that was the first time, obviously I was meeting him, and he explained the same treatment, but the way he explained it was completely different as compared to the previous doctor that we had met in another hospital. he had a very strong sense of calm. It was very calm and it was very comforting to speak with him. He didn't make a hawa out of it. He was very mature about it and very, again, I keep saying the word calm. And because of the way he explained the treatment, I myself got a sense of calm that okay, I'm in good hands, and that's where the first, faith got established with him that okay, I would want to start my treatment here.
So that's such a, you bring in calm, and possibly that's what Dr. Nikhil's quality is. So and that's also a learning for me has been that, uh, the more settled you are with the patient when he's sitting across the table, the more calm is what you emit and radiate. And and it's not easy to come by. It only comes by once you have gone through n number of times this entire thing, and
Yes.
then at each step what you're facing and how you're going to get into it.
Right.
So once you met Dr. Nikhil, I think then possibly we decided to go ahead with the short course RT is what I think we
Yes.
decided to go
Yes.
ahead.
Yeah, absolutely.
And once we went with the short course RT, and then I think 10 days later, I think Nikhil told me that you will be coming over, and then
Correct.
we had a conversation about it. Uh, how was your experience in the entire? So first time you met us, and give it to us, criticize us, and give it to us as what was good about it, what is bad about it, so that there is always something to appreciate, and there's something more to learn from it.
So I would say that I only have good things to say, to be very honest, because, like I said, with him, I felt very comfortable that I was entrusting myself and my body to him, and then he would take care of me. And even though, like I said, for 24 hours, I was jolted, not just me, my family.
So the first time you heard it, and the first time, obviously we know that it was denial, and then you kind of started accepting it.
Right.
What was the emotional reaction to it?
So for 24 hours, I was actually jolted, right? The usual emotions that one would experience once seen on TV, that this can't be happening to me. How can this happen to me? Kind of thoughts came in. But then, as my character is, you just move on and you just get ready for the next conquest to be won, right? So I think within 24 hours time, I was ready. We knew that we had to take instant decisions. We decided not to tell our children about it. At least my daughter. My daughter was in 6th that time. Now she's in 8th. So that's 2 years ago. And of course, it was a complete lockdown, students only attending online classes. My son was in his 12th. So we decided not to tell them, and we decided not to use the word cancer at home. So while we kept on saying that we're going to the doctor, we're going for chemotherapy, we're going for radiation, we didn't use that specific word because even a child in class 5, 6 knows the connotation. And with phones available with everyone, children are quick to Google all this. So for, I think, about 2 to 3 months, we didn't do that. But coming back to your question, I was prepared in the next 24 hours. So yes, I've had my share of, negative thoughts, but they were very personal, and I never let them come out, even in front of my husband. So I always tried to contain. By nature, I'm a strong person. So even if I wanted to cry, I was doing it alone in the bathroom, not in front of them, because I'm generally brave and happy by default. So, and that's the same tendency that, I've tried to inculcate in my children also, just to be brave about everything.
So, the reason I ask is because as an oncologist, I obviously see cancer patients day in and day out. When I'm alone, and when you're alone, and when you are with your own thoughts, it does come to me that what will happen to me and how will I react if I have it. So it obviously sends a shiver down your spine, and you feel कि यार पता नहीं मैं कैसे react करूँगा. So that's the reason I possibly want to get to the emotional side of it, because I feel that in general there is so much to learn from patients when it comes to it, and there's always a positive side to look to it. And knowing you, I have obviously seen you during the time of the chemotherapy, and it has been you have been one of those proper keeping your calm through the entire course of chemotherapy. I've not seen you lose it is what I call it as, lose it during any of the times. So I thought there's much to learn when it comes to learning the calmness from you during the course of chemotherapy. So coming back to it, you were telling us what you obviously said that there was nothing to criticize, but then uh, it's always been. So, what do you think was good about it? As in, how do you? So, what? Rather, let me ask you a very question which I generally I want to ask this to correct myself also. My mantra is that I want all of my patients who are doing chemotherapy to be working during the chemotherapy,
Mm-hmm.
possibly work from home. If they can do physically attend the office, very well. Or if the nature of job is a little more demanding, if they can work from home, that's very fine. You think were you able to do that? And do you think is my mantra right, or should I need to correct myself? I know it's varies individual to individual,
Mm-hmm.
but then for you, how was it difficult?
I think it's a perfect mantra, I would say, Dr. Chugh, because if one continues to work, then one remains sane here. You need to have your sanity in your head, otherwise you just lose it, like you said. And the reason why I was able to go through all of this, stay positive around this, is because you were explaining the treatment to me all the time in at every step of the way, and you had given us all the facts and numbers, right? And of course, we had Google, we had a lot of information available at our hands. Dr. Agarwal was also telling us how the treatment would go. So thereby, we had a very strong sense of belief and faith in the doctors and science and in the treatment. And that's why, like I said, only for 24 hours I was jolted. Uske baad to chalo, I'm going to kick its ass. I mean, that was absolutely my mantra. I used to tell my bosses, I used to tell my colleagues and everybody that cancer has picked the wrong person. It's
That's
cancer has picked the wrong girl. I used to tell them I'm going to kick its ass because you did a wrong thing by choosing me. And with that thought in mind, the whole treatment went by. Um, I remember talking to one of my ex bosses when she got to know. She called me one day and she said that, Harsimrat, I got to know about this and blah blah blah. And she says, God, you are strong enough to move the mountain. And this is the word she used. भगवान mountains सिर्फ उनको देता है जिनको God knows that you have the strength to move them. So he knows that you have the strength, and that's why he's given you a mountain to move. And doctor, that day I changed my WhatsApp status, and it read, God, my status was, God gave me a mountain to move because he knows I can move it.
that's
And
really great.
thank you. And when my treatment got finished, basically last year, February, when the tumor got removed, right? And of course, I was wearing a stoma bag, but at least the tumor had got removed successfully after the chemo. Then I changed my WhatsApp status to, I moved the mountain. So you have to be very strong about it. Otherwise, it'll be very difficult for a patient to go through the journey. And I think the biggest thing is, I would say to everybody is, that you have to believe in science. You have to believe in doctors. You have to believe that. There are a lot of people that we know, I have in my office, who try these alternate, medicine. They try these alternate methods. They go to Tibet, they go to some place in McLeodganj, this cure, that cure, and all that. You do that, fine, aap wo karo. But don't delay the actual treatment, is what I really want to tell everybody. One should not delay the actual treatment. Just believe in science, because you have solution, you have treatments, like you said, right? So you should just go for it with full trust, I would say.
So, coming back to the point where you said you didn't mention it to your
Yeah,
daughter, and
yeah.
so this is again one other thing which I kind of tell my most of my patients that who have kids is I feel it's better to involve the kids in decision making than to not involve it.
Mm.
Uh, Possibly because there have been times when parents and patients have come back and told me that the child felt that he was not part of the decision making, and
Okay.
that they didn't trust her enough to help her be part of that journey. Do you agree with that? Would you want to, given a chance, would you have wanted to do it differently, or you think this is the right thing to do?
No, I thought it was the right thing to do, doctor, because my daughter was quite small at that point of time. My son, who was in 12th, knew about it from the very first day. He knew about it. And we just took a conscious decision not to let her be bothered, because he was, any which ways, had become quite hassled about it with his boards and everything, right? So, but eventually, being the smart kids that we have in today's age, with the advent of phones, She merrily Googled it, and she just said, "What is chemo?" Because that's she, and then she got to know. And then one day, after a lot of thought, I think she came to me and she says, "Mama, kya aapko cancer hai?" So first, for 2 seconds, I was like, "Oh shit!" Now she knows. So I was like, I turned around and I said, "बेटा आपको लगता है मुझे कैंसर है?" कहती नहीं. मैंने कहा, "Do you think I've got anything?" कहती नहीं. मैंने कहा, I turned around. I said, "Look, do I look any different to you?" She says, "No." मैंने कहा, "Then I have nothing. Why are you worried?" कहती, "No, but you kept on saying that you're going for chemo." I said, "Yes, I'm going there. So what?" तो मुझे, "आपको कैंसर है?" मैंने कहा, "है या नहीं है? तुझे लगता है कि मेरे में कोई चेंज आया है? तुझे लग रहा है कि मैं कुछ बदली हूँ? क्या मैं कमज़ोर हुई हूँ?" कहती, "कुछ भी नहीं, आप तो बिल्कुल वैसे हो." मैंने कहा, "फिर मुझे कुछ भी नहीं है. Why are you worried? Nothing is there." I said, "You just focus on your studies. I'm absolutely fine. If I need help, I'll let you know." So that was just about it. And she also then took it in that very positive spirit. That and her thing was कि हाँ ठीक है, मम्मा को कैंसर है, but she'll beat it. It's fine.
So you at that moment felt that it's important that you wanted to show your child the strength which is I think which is very fair. So once your treatment was in the ending phase and then you were completing the treatment, how was the second part of the treatment? So you underwent the first surgery and then there was a waiting period and then there was a stoma reversal which was supposed to happen.
Right.
Was it a sense of burden कि यार इसको कराना पड़ेगा या a sense of elation कि ये तो खत्म हो रहा है चलो? What was the experience there?
My first, to be very honest, when I went in for my first surgery, I knew that the stoma will be there, but I didn't realize that it would be there for so long. My husband knew all about it, and he has been very, very, very supportive. In fact, I would say that 50% of my recovery has been because of my husband, because he was so supportive in terms of emotional, physically supporting, doing small things for me that made my treatment so much easier, taking care of me, my food and my diet, and very, very supportive, I would say. So wearing a stoma was a tough time, I would say, and that period I think was the darkest, those 3 months, because my first reaction was this ugly thing coming out of my stomach, and I did not accept it. You will not believe it, doctor, that for 1 week I didn't look at my stomach because the sight of this red thing coming out of my stomach was so ugly. And for 1 week, either my husband or my sister were cleaning at the stoma for me. I would just close my eyes and I said, "Just do what you want to do." Then eventually my husband, he motivated me. He says, "Simi, Harsimrat, this is part of your body. ठीक है, intestine बाहर आ रही है, intestine अंदर भी है. And it is an inherent part of who you are. So learn to look at it because you have to wear it and you have to clean it yourself because we can't do it for you for whatever time, right?" And he made sense. So slowly, acceptance was key there. And then I started, doing the whole cleaning process myself. I even went to the office with the stoma bag, and now I'm answering your question around the working. So I think it is very important for a person to continue doing what they're doing because it helps you remain sane. Otherwise, you get so much focused and you get so much involved with the disease and the treatment that you can actually lose your balance. But because I was working, and thanks to my office who gave me, of course, full work from home, and also because of the fact that it was lockdown in 2021, I continued to, fight the treatment or rather move along with the treatment in a quite speedily, I would say. Another thing that I would like to advise to the viewers or whoever is watching the video is that, you should have a health policy and you should try and use it, We generally have insurance coverage in our offices as well. We've got our own insurances as well. Use the health policy where it is possible. And I got a work from home from office throughout my journey. My team was very, very supportive. In fact, I remember that for the initial couple of weeks, I didn't inform my team also either. Only my leaders knew, my bosses knew. And at that point of time, because it was so new for me, it was more like a hush-hush thing that nahi batana. What will they say? There'll be like 1,000 questions. What am I going to answer them? But once the treatment started, I got the chemo port installed after radiation finished. First chemo happened. I got the courage to talk about it, and that also is an important factor. But that the more you talk about it, the more courage you will get, I would say.
The more normal it becomes.
The more normal it becomes. You learn to normalize it because you know that this is a treatment that will last for some months. For me, it lasted 9-10 months. So I couldn't have hidden such a big thing from my own team, from my own direct reports in my office, right? So it becomes normal. And today, with the way the treatment is, there in almost every family, it is the word cancer or anybody going through cancer is a pretty common thing now. On almost every family, you've got someone. So I think just have the courage to talk about it and normalize it in your family. And eventually, when my daughter got to know after that, she was, of course, part of the entire treatment. She's seen me with the stoma bag, she's seen me cleaning my stoma bag and all of that. So, yes, at one point of time, she saw my vulnerability as well. But then she understood that, yes, mommy is going through this treatment. Yes, she's just got an operation done, but she'll be back on her feet.
So I think rather I was patting myself, right, that you were working during the entire time of chemotherapy, and which is something which I really really encourage. And you told me the only time you're not working was when you had surgery, and I was like,
Yeah, that's the only
and like
time.
I'm going to tease Nikhil about it, that the only time somebody's not working is when he's operates, but then that's the more physical limitation than anything. So how did you manage the stoma at office? I think it's, so first of all, it's a difficult thing to accept,
Hmm.
and then there are practical problems with it,
Right.
that it produces a certain sound and it requires cleaning. And so were there something you were doing in particular, or you obviously, it requires a learning curve there, I'm
It's
sure.
a learning curve for sure. So yeah, so when I used to go to my office, I used to carry all the ointments and everything, garbage bags in my own toilet paper roll, because and I had a whole bag that I used to carry with me, and every time it would get filled, I would just say sorry, I have to just go. And my entire team, everybody in my office knew that I'm wearing a bag, so it had become quite normal. Yes, the sound comes, right after you eat your food. That's when that's just the way digestive process works. So I just always say sorry, too bad. I can't avoid it. So it is what it is.
It is
So
what
it,
it
it
is.
is it is what it
That's
is,
great.
right? So and I remember that the first time I went to the office was, so I had my surgery in February, and then 8th March was Women's Day. 8th March is Women's Day, and you know. We had a big celebration in office celebrating Women's Day, and I told my boss that I'm coming, but I didn't get the courage because I told him that I can't come because I'm wearing a stoma bag. So that time he said, okay, ठीक है, don't mata, अगर तू नहीं comfortable नहीं है तो mata. And then I didn't go, and then my husband said कि तू कहीं गई क्यों नहीं? I said मैं नहीं जाऊँगी, I'm wearing a stoma bag. He said, so what? Then he showed me videos about people who are performing on stage. I saw a video of a footballer playing rugby and soccer with the with stoma thing. I saw multiple videos of how people are going to office dressing up for parties, and I was like, bullshit, I can also do that. It's okay. It is what it is, right?
It is what it is.
And like the army kida in me, ठीक है चलो आगे बढ़ो, अब हो गया तो हो गया, चलो आगे चलो. So then he said कि तू पागल है, you missed your function, your Women's Day function. I said, don't worry. Then I started going to the office. So, and my team, my office was very, very supportive, very cooperative. Your question around how did I manage? Like I said, I used to carry my own stuff. I had difficulty in taking a bath, because if you Google the videos, people say, do like this, polythene ban lo, patti ban lo, and we used to call this professional guy from one of the companies to come and replace the stoma bag after every week, 8-10 days, right? And he also couldn't really guide much, and especially for a woman, how to manage it. So then I found my own way. I used to just normally take a bath, use a hairdryer, and dry my stoma bag. So that is my tip for for the people, for the ladies who are wearing temporary or permanent stoma, that go take a bath comfortably, and if it gets wet, just use a hairdryer and dry out your bag, and that's it. You chalte bano. It's okay. It is what it is.
It's a very practical tip. I
Yeah.
don't think anybody else can give
Yeah,
it.
just find your own solution. And then I got COVID in between. I was supposed to get the stoma reversed after about.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that time.
Yes,
You'd gotten
yes,
COVID, and
yes. It got delayed.
it got
So
delayed.
100 days stoma pehna मैंने, almost 3 months, about 100 days. COVID के बाद, then in May, the finally it happened when it got reversed. And of course, with so many cuts on my stomach, I have another joke going on with my husband. I said, see, now I can't go for Mrs. India anymore, right? Why? Because I can't wear a sari now. He says, Pagal hai, you still can. Okay, I will.
No, he's been.
So
I've seen him around. He's been one of the most kindest people, and he's been such a great cheerleader for you.
He is,
He's
and
it's amazing the way he is.
absolutely. And he used to make, soup for me and everything. And we termed it blood soup, beetroot soup, which you had also said that you should have beetroot for iron and palak and all that. So it's, red in color. So I have made blood soup for you. So my husband has absolutely been my rock. And like I said, 50% of my recovery is because he was there to support me. In fact, when the platelet count had come down and I had to take all those injections that you had prescribed and the booster also. So he learned how to to give me the injections. So in the stomach, he only used to give me the injections. He learned how to remove the stoma bag and put a new one. So he's, very, very strong about this.
So let me ask you these 2-3 final questions.
Yeah.
What was your lowest point during the entire treatment, or during this entire disease process?
My lowest was the day I got to know that I have it, and then I was fine after 24 hours. B, when I saw for the first time the intestine coming out of my stomach, it was not a good feeling. I didn't accept it. I just, like I said, I didn't look at my stomach for 7 days. I refused to look at my body because I didn't like the sight of it. But the acceptance eventually comes.
So once you look back at this entire journey, so there are many patients. So if all of us learn from your experiences. What's been your learnings out of this entire experience? I can say for one is that you have proved how strong you are. Other than that, as in what's been your learnings?
My learning I think should be that don't ignore the symptoms that you have. Like I ignored them for quite a long time. And in fact, I must tell you that initially when we had gone to this doctor for this checkup, I started my treatment for piles because we thought that it was internal piles or whatever. He actually advised us colonoscopy a month before I actually had it. I refused to get it thinking I don't need it. So my learning is do not ignore the symptoms that you have and go and follow the medical advice. So that's, very important learning. Second learning is I already said it, just believe in science, believe in the doctor, and go for the treatment. You can try alternate therapy, you can try all the Ayurveda and other, water therapy, flower therapy, this, that, but it will not serve the purpose. And, another learning is that life, like the shit happens, but learn to deal with it because you are not just an individual, you are a mother, a wife, you have a family and you have to be there for them. There is someone who's also looking up to you. That person could be an elderly parent who's dependent on you, and that person could be your own child. So you have to find the strength from within and exuberate it so that you just spread the happiness. And it's very important for the child because children are also learning through this experience. If we are weak, then children will also become weak. They'll also start getting scared and they'll also become fearful of things in life. But if you're strong, then somewhere at least one seed is planted of being strong.
I think.
Yeah.
So has it helped you evolve as a person? As in, I'm sure, every experience helps you evolve. So how do you think it has? So one thing which you told me is that it has made you. So one thing which I really see and rather admire about this is it makes you more confident about yourself in terms of I can deal with it kind of confidence. Has it helped? Has it happened to you? Has it made you more confident about yourself in terms of you could carry yourself with a stoma bag, you could undergo surgeries, you could undergo chemotherapy, or does it make you more fragile as a person? So
No. For me, it's actually become the other way. I can now deal with anything. So other stuff has also happened personally. Some things have ups and downs happen in office, but nothing surprises me anymore because the whole treatment has made me one level stronger, I would say, as a person to deal with any other challenge in life.
So it's safe to say that you have a lot more positive take-ups from the treatment than...
Yes, absolutely.
So it's been such a pleasant having a conversation with you, Mrs. Kaur.
Thank you so much.
And I'm sure all of us who have been listening to this have had a great takeaways from this. Thank you so much for being a part of it.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Thank you all for joining in. We just heard Mrs. Harsimrat Kaur, who had to undergo radiation and chemotherapy and then surgery and then carry a stoma back to the office. Hear her talking about experiences. Whenever we are faced with such adversities in our life, there is so much strength which lies underneath us. There's so much of courage which we all have, which we need to delve into. And we'll all end up surprising ourselves when you are faced with adversity. Whenever you have a problem in your life, it's important to face it, challenge it, and move on. It's also important not to ignore the symptoms which you have. It's also important to take care of yourself. Thank you.